Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Communications Collaborative Group meeting. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes to give everyone an opportunity to join. Okay, great. I will get started. So my name is Gina Yall. I'm the Director of Public Affairs at the Orange County Water District, and I also sit on the leadership team with this lovely group of individuals. So for those of you who haven't joined before, this is the second. We have quarterly meetings of this group on an annual basis, and the group is under WateReuse California. And I think it was kind of initiated back in 2017, 2018. And it's been going ever since. And I think really started by, Mark Milan and Patsy Tennyson, those folks that we know very well in the water reuse industry. So the group was formed really to focus on public education and outreach and developing consistent terminology and messaging and signage guidelines, terminology frameworks, and then tackling emerging topics of concern like pharmaceuticals and other CECs and recycled water. So it's been a really great group, and I think it's expanded beyond California. We get both the national and international folks that come on. So we all really just share and learn from each other and create a group of resources that we can all pull from. So with that, I know that today Ben Glickstein from National has also invited the National Public Education and Outreach Group to join. And I believe that Natalie is on the line. If
Yes,
you
I'm
would,
here.
great. Natalie, would you like to speak a little bit about the National Group?
Sure. So the national group has been meeting for quite a while, but we have actually just formalized as an actual committee to the board. So we're a newly minted group, I suppose. We decided that this month we were going to forego having a meeting. We also meet quarterly. Um, so that we could encourage people to be here and listen to this great presentation. This is a really interesting topic, and I'm glad that so many of you are able to join. Um, the point of the group is we're just trying to collaborate with and amplify state sections, particularly like this California one. We know that there's a lot of great communications work happening across the country throughout our sections. We also know that communications is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to water reuse. So we're formalizing as a committee to see what our kind of highest and best use is to be supporting that for our membership. Our first official meeting will be Wednesday, October 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can do the math if you don't live in the Pacific time zone. If you are not on that list yet, please contact Ben Glickstein and he will get you that invite. And then just one last quick reminder for National is that the symposium will be in LA in March, and presentation, the call for abstracts closes on August 11th. So if you have any ideas, please submit those. There's always such a great communications track at this conference. And so we'd love to see that continue.
Great. And I see
That's
that
all I have.
Ben. Okay, great. Thank you, Natalie. We are excited to work with you and the national group as well. And I know Ben has put his contact information in the chat, and so feel free to reach out to him. So today, without further ado, we'll go ahead and move on to our meeting agenda. So we're going to start out with Mark Milan moderating a panel titled Engaging Medical Professionals in Reuse. And then we'll have an update from Brenly, who's the Managing Director of California Water Reuse Association. So understand if the national folks, it's up to you whether you'd like to remain on or hop off. And then after Brenly, we'll go ahead and have an open forum where we could share any questions, ideas for future meetings, and address any concerns. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Mark.
Great. Thank you, Gina. And thank you all for joining us today. I see we have people from all over California and the US, as well as I see someone from Barcelona also. So that's great. Welcome all. And of course, this is an important topic, engaging medical professionals. And it's been a concern in water reuse for many years. As I can recall, going back 10, 15 years, there's always been that effort to reach out to the medical community to get support uh, for recycled water and now, of course, more importantly, potable reuse. So we'll start off first with Christina Montoya. And Christina has 24 years of media and communications and marketing experience. She's the communications and marketing manager for El Paso Water and has been overseeing internal and external communications there. Previously, she was a reporter and anchor at the ABC and NBC News affiliates in El Paso. She is currently the president of WateReuse Texas and is serving her fourth term on the AWWA Public Affairs Council. And Christina graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts from the University of Southern California. And with that, Christina, we thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today and the activities that you're involved with.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for that nice introduction, Mark. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. And I'm
Yes.
going to take, great, great. Thanks for the confirmation. So, first of all, thanks for inviting us to be here. I'm going to go through just a few slides, giving a brief overview on our reuse project. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with it, but I'll just give you a few little details. Let's get this. So just quickly, El Paso Water, if you're not familiar with El Paso, we are on the very western tip of Texas. We share a border with Mexico and New Mexico. We provide services to about 800,000 people. We are right in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, so we only get about 8 to 9 inches of rain a year. We have over 1,200 employees, so we are a very large operation, 24/7, of course, and we offer water, wastewater, recycled water, and stormwater services to our community. So it's a very diverse services that we provide. As I mentioned, El Paso is in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, so water scarcity is something that we're familiar with, but it's something that we planned for all the way back to the 1940s. And so when I talk about our reuse projects, I like to talk about how it's really evolved. Our reuse program has evolved since the 1940s. The first photo there is our first river water treatment plant. And we utilize this to really share with the community that we started practicing reuse when we started treating river water in the 1940s as a form of de facto reuse. There are communities upstream of us, including Albuquerque, Santa Fe, that treat wastewater, recycle it, and send it into the river. And we've been recycling that for drinking water since then. We also recycle 2 billion gallons per year of our Purple Pipe program that started in the 1960s. And it's been very successful. We additionally, in 1985, started our aquifer replenishment program with what we would call in the industry indirect potable reuse. And that's at our Fred Hervey plant, where we use infiltration ponds to recharge one of our aquifers, our main aquifers, to recharge those groundwater sources. So we've been doing that successfully for 40 years. So it really made sense for us as the next logical step in our reuse journey to look to direct potable reuse. which on the bottom there is a rendering of our Pure Water Center that is under construction now and is scheduled to open in 2028. So with that, I'm just going to give you a brief glimpse on what the Pure Water Center will look like on the outside. And you can see even indoors, we are looking at having an educational facility. We know we're going to be welcoming people from all over the world, really, not only our community, but visitors from everywhere. So we really want to be able to host people. We're going to have a visitor center where we can take people through understanding the need for this facility and the benefits of it, and then also how it fits into our diverse water portfolio. So the plant, just to be clear, is going to take treated wastewater from a plant next door, the wastewater plant, and it is going to take it through a multi-step purification process, and it will be really the first of its kind direct distribution, direct potable reuse project in the nation. So we're very excited about it. It's going to be a game changer for I think our country and probably the rest of the world in terms of paving the way for other reuse projects of this type. But for El Pasoans, it's really going to help us ensure that we can continue thriving in our desert community and continue that quality of life. So in terms of our outreach to health professionals and medical professionals, we've been having a robust outreach program since about 2016. We started really talking about it and planning probably in 2013, 14. But we did have to do a pilot facility like many other entities are doing for our regulations, for our regulators to get the permits to move forward with the plant. Unfortunately, we only had a temporary pilot facility. We only opened it for the regulatory purposes, but we took advantage of it. And that's when we started inviting our health department to come out and all their employees to do tours of our pilot facilities. So that's a snapshot of the newsletter at the time that we did. And we've continued to have quarterly presentations, meetings with the city county health department. And you'll see there's a picture of a tour that we did at our Fred Hervey reclamation facility that I mentioned in the beginning. So it's been a great partnership with them. We've also partnered with local organizations to include the Border RAC, which is an organization that puts together emergency first responders and emergency physicians. And when they need their CEUs or continuing education, we offer them some presentations about just not only water reuse, but water quality in our region. And we partner with them on publications. So the city county health director at the time when we first started that is actually in the picture there on the right. He is now appointed to our public service board. El Paso Water is governed by a public service board. We're part of the city, but also have our own governing board. And so once we created the partnership with him, working with him as a city county health authority, once he stepped off as the director and just became the authority, we invited him to apply to be a part of our public service board. So that relationship has been truly amazing. Dr. Hector Ocaranza, and he sits on our board. He has become a liaison to other medical professionals, continuing at the city county health department to this day. So that's something that I really think has been helpful. Additionally, we have a really good relationship with the UT Health Houston School of Public Health. They have a school or a campus right here in El Paso. And the current dean was also one of our previous board members. So that kind of opened up the door for us to have a relationship with them, and also with Texas Tech University, which has a dental school and medical school here in El Paso. So the picture on the bottom right is a program that we just started this year, which is called a Promotora program. If you all are not familiar with that, basically those are trained individuals within a community that are bilingual, of course, and they serve as community liaisons within that community. It's a practice that is common, across the country, but it's been really valuable and helpful here for us, not only for communicating about water reuse, but just water quality overall. We have a lot of issues with A lot of our Spanish-speaking customers not trusting our water sources. And so these promotoras have gone into the communities, we train them, and then they go out and carry our messages. And so that is really it in terms of our outreach with the medical and the health professionals. Of course, it's growing, it's evolving. We want to continue what we're doing. But I'm just going to leave you with a snapshot of really what we leave our community with when we go out and do presentations, where this Pure Water Center will really augment our existing water supply. It's an additional 10 million gallons a day, 3.6 billion gallons per year. It's not a whole lot, but it's a lot when it means we don't have to enact water restrictions, especially we're in times of drought. The main messages that we communicate to our public are that it's safe, it's a local supply, it's reliable, and it's drought resistant. And for us here in El Paso, drought really isn't determined by rainfall, it's determined by the river. And that's a whole other conversation, but we are more reliant on the river in terms of snowpack in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. So that's what really determines our drought is river drought here, not so much on rainfall. So that's it. I'll hand it over to the next presenter, and I'm happy to answer any questions about our program.
Thank you, Christina. And for our listening audience, what we're going to do is if you could hold your questions till we're through all three speakers, and you're welcome to put questions in the Q&A box down below or in the chat, and we'll get to those after Eric Rosenblum. Next speaker will be Stephen Bard, and Stephen is a communications and water professional dedicated to impacting the communities he serves through positive, inclusive, and accessible communications. He's creatively driven with a background in photography and graphic design. Stephen leverages emerging technology, platforms, and tactics to tell the unique story of the Las Virgenes Municipal Water District to create positive change in the public. He currently serves as a member of the Association of California Water Agencies and the Communications Committee, and as a Vice President of Awards on the board of the California Association of Public Information Officials, CAPIO and ACWA, right?
Yes, sir.
Great,
Yes,
Steve.
sir. Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you, everybody, for joining us and giving us a little bit of your time this afternoon. My name is Stephen Barrett. I work for Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. We are a small retail water and wastewater agency in the northwest corner of Los Angeles County, and we serve the southwest very corner of Ventura through our JPA. Overall, the Joint Powers Authority, we serve 110,000 customers, and that is a partnership between Las Virgenes Municipal Water District and Triumpho Water and Sanitation. You can see here are our four main facilities. Part of what we like to hang our hat on is beneficial reuse, early adopters. So top left is our Tapia Water Reclamation Facility. You can see it is literally right on Malibu Creek in the Santa Monica Mountains. And so Tapia is currently processing about 7 million gallons per day. In the summertime, 100% of that, like today, is used to feed our Purple Pipe Network, which we were early adopters. We started in the late 70s, and by the 90s, we were using 100% of the recycled water we produced at peak summer demand. Below that is our composting facility. In 1994, we opened that to take our biosolids and create compost. So it's a way that we then can give back to our communities. It's free compost. Anybody can come and get it. It prevents us from having to truck our biosolids. Our board was concerned with long-term planning that, there may be a time when people don't want trucks bringing biosolids to their farms. So again, finding a beneficial reuse for something that we generally would consider a waste product. The top right facility is our demonstration facility for the Pure Water Project, which we're going to talk about in a second. And then below that is our Westlake Reservoir. And kind of all of these combined are going to be integral in the conversation we're going to have about pure water and how we can interact with physicians and build those relationships. So real quick, a little bit more about LVMWD. You can see in this map, that little yellow dot, that is where we are. We are basically, we border Malibu, Pacific Palisades to the west and to the southwest, and then the Conejo Valley, Thousand Oaks, Agoura Hills to the north and northeast. The top blue dot for people who are keen on California water, which I know everybody is, that is Lake Oroville, and we are state water dependent. So that is where 99% of our potable water comes from. Just to be accurate, I did put right there, that is the State Water Project, Hoover Dam. And we do, in cases of extreme shortages, we do get a little bit of water from there, but not enough to meet our demands, our community's demands. So we don't have any water, right? And my old board president, that's used to always be what he said. It's like, it's hard to explain to people we're a water district with no water. And that's hard enough to deal with. We're getting our water from 400 miles away. That's hard enough to deal with. But also, when we look at the wastewater side, we discharge into an incredibly environmentally sensitive and protected area that has a lot of advocates in the local area. So we discharge into Malibu Creek. Malibu Creek, as you can see here, discharges into the Santa Monica Bay. And if you look really closely, those houses on the beach, that's some of the most expensive real estate in the country. That's Malibu. And so we had a lot of pressures about what our recycled water and our discharges were doing to the natural environment. Well, what did that lead to? Litigation, which is always fantastic. We ended up actually going to court with the EPA over the MCLs that they were proposing. And basically, as my general manager likes to say, that's probably not a recipe for success. And so what the board, under the direction of the board and management, did is they convened a stakeholder process, a number of different meetings, including some of the people we were actually going to court with. And in 2015, that process played itself out. And that's where we came to the conclusion that for us, the best solution to our discharge problems is also a solution to our water supply problems, and that's potable reuse. One of the great things about this story at this point is it shows how collaboration can turn people who are at odds into collaborators and into allies. And that has really happened. And now we have a great relationship with Heal the Bay and a lot of the NGOs and environmental organizations who, again, they were looking at what the possibilities of the nutrients in Malibu Creek and its impact on, tidewater gobies or the southern steelhead, both protected species. And so finding a solution where we all now can pull in the same direction was incredibly important. And it's really helped the project kind of go forward with a really positive vibe, for lack of a better term. One of the things we like to talk about as this project got rolling in 2015 is right outreach, right time. So the first thing we did is we started conducting surveys, and we continue to survey people, especially when they come visit our facilities. We're trying to gauge where the community is at and where we really need to focus our messaging. We want to always highlight early wins, right? Anytime we got grants, free money, it's a great positive way to spotlight our program. We get people in. We want them to see and hear all the equipment. So the demo facility has been really valuable for us. We run a lot of programming through that. My colleague, Ricky Clark, does an amazing job. Everybody from high school ages, we've had senior specific programming. So it's really been impactful. We're out in our community. That's Super Drop. We used to have Little Drop, but Little Drop went through the advanced purification process, and now he's Super. And so that is great. We go out to the community. We meet them where they're at. The kids love Super Drop. We have a lot of activities for them. And then also, through that, we're able to get some information out. Beer, I'm going to point that one out. If you can brew beer, it will be one of your most successful events and everybody will be happy with you. We've done 3 beer events. We have another one this fall. We've canned the beers. We've taken them out with us on the road, and you show up to your legislator's office with a 4-pack of beer that, it kind of helps break the ice and creates conversation. And right here, the middle one, that is our podcast. And I swapped this picture out this morning just because That is Dr. Sion Roy. One of the episodes we had earlier this year was we were able to get Dr. Roy, former president of Los Angeles County Medical Association, and Dr. Brian Berry, current president of the Ventura County Medical Association, to come and talk to us and really sit down. They gave us about an hour of their time to really kind of dive into communicating with the medical profession, how the medical profession can then communicate to their patients. And it was a really great conversation. So I had to throw that guy in there. And so what does all this do, right? Well, all of this in the end was we wanted to get an endorsement from these organizations about the health efficacy of these processes. So how did we do that? We really started with that person-to-person outreach with the medical association board members. We had, we reached out to some of our local elected officials who were able to put us in contact with Dr. Roy. Also, we had an employee who knew Dr. Berry, and so we were able to make those connections, right? But it is a personal touch. I don't think, I really think that being able to reach out at a personal level versus trying to reach out at an organizational level really made it more effective for us. We showed them, we didn't tell them, we got them into our demo facility. We showed them 3 years of data, everything, all the tests that the DDR and DWR have asked us to do, and all of, what the constituents and their levels, and they presented it to their membership. And so they were able to look at it as scientists and really gauge whether they could really give us a good endorsement. And lastly, we wanted to cement the partnerships between the agencies. So once we had those first contacts, we participated in their events, we sponsor their events, our board shows up, and they, in turn, they've showed up to our events. We had a Pure Coffee event where we used our pure water due to coffee. Dr. Brian Berry showed up there. We had a big event around a project we're doing with desalination, and Dr. Roy came and supported us there. So it was really created this loop of partnership, I would say. And lastly, I would say the next steps we're trying to get, we want to get additional testimonials. The podcast is really great, but we want to get things that are more easily digestible and packaged for easy consumption on our digital channels. We're starting to work on organized collaboration on messaging, getting things in their journals and in their newsletters, and in turn having them write some stuff for us and make content for us. And that's been really promising. And then just generally expand our partnerships. We started locally. Well, from locally, we want to build this partnership to the state medical associations. And then obviously we would like to take it national, somehow build the groundswell and a grassroots effort to get a national endorsement of potable reuse. So that is kind of our story and how we got to where we are at. And I would just leave you with this bottom quote: as physicians dedicated to promoting public health and well-being in our community, we recognize the critical importance of ensuring a safe, reliable, and sustainable water supply for our region. And when I read that, what I realized, and has been really clear to me going through this, is there is no earlier time to get the medical profession involved. The answer is now. Regardless of whether you're doing a water reuse project or if you're looking at expanding your recycled water program, as water and wastewater professionals, we are public health officials, and building that relationship with physicians who are the most esteemed public health officials in many ways, it's so beneficial. And to that point is, with all of the controversy surrounding some states removing fluoride, we reached out and we got a statement from the Los Angeles County Medical Association about that we could give to our customer service staff. We could put out in our messaging that, hey, this, our doctors are telling us what's in your water is safe. So don't be alarmed. And I think that is really valuable. So again, if there's any questions, I'd love to, talk more about my experience, but I really appreciate everybody giving me the time. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. That's wonderful. Really appreciate what you've done there. It's pretty amazing. And now to help tie this all together, we're going to hear from Eric Rosenblum. And Eric is a consulting engineer specializing in water reuse. Until 2011, he was the director of South Bay Water Recycling, Silicon Valley's regional water reuse program. And since then, he has focused on municipal and industrial water use, contributing to 2 recent publications, multi-agency water reuse projects with US EPA in 2022, and also Sustainable Industrial Water Use, IWA, publishing in 2021. And I can tell you, I have worked with Eric over the years on a few projects, even just recently, a navigator to help select water research projects. We just spent the last 2 years working on that. And with that, I'm happy to welcome Eric to kind of tie this all together for us. Thank you, Eric. We'll see if he's ready to go here. I think you might be on mute.
Right, you are.
There you go.
I want to apologize. Decided not to work today. I'm really sorry about that, not because you don't get to see me, but because you can't see me smile. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you today and hear from Christina and Stephen about the tremendous work they're doing and this initiative that subjects we're talking about communicating be a little over the top. We'll just go with the RAP 8.8, getting medical professionals talk about the benefits and challenges of water reuse. It a number of organizations. We have 6 agencies that are the key parts of it. In addition to El Paso Water and Las Virgenes, City of Boise, County Public Utilities in Florida, Nevada, and of course Santa Clara County Medical Association was one of the original. Valley Water is my home water agency, and they have a principal part of this, and I'll tell you that story in just a moment. But the goals of this group are to help water and health professionals form productive relationships. One of the exciting things we've learned in engaging physicians is that they see that we're very much in the same line of work to a great degree.
Hey, Eric, if I could stop you for just a minute. We're having trouble hearing your audio. It's kind of breaking up.
Okay, let's see if I can fix that. Sorry.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people. So,
okay.
And I know it's very valuable what you're talking about. I just want to make sure everybody can hear you okay.
This better?
That is definitely better.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Again, the technology is abandoning me, but the message is clear. So the goal of this initiative, which is co-sponsored by EPA and the Water Reuse Association, is to help water and health professionals form productive relationships. That really is key because we are in very much the same line of work to a great degree. We're all about keeping people healthy, and as we've all come to understand, having a reliable source of abundant and clean water is a foundation of public health. Some of the specific targets is to develop a webinar for health professionals to teach them about recycled water, and in that we're working with EPA and the CDC. Also to assist the state medical associations in proposing to the American Medical Association a resolution endorsing water reuse. Stephen alluded to this at the end of his presentation about a national endorsement for water recycling, and I think we have all the tools we need to do that. And then, of course, really from a practical standpoint, to promote the best practices and create ongoing peer group to share resources. Let me tell you a little bit how this group started. My first association with the Santa Clara County Medical Association stretches back to the first non-potable program that we created in Silicon Valley. And we went to them and said, we're going to be providing this water to school grounds and parks. And we want to know if you have any questions about its adequacy. We believe it's healthful. And we shared with them all the epidemiological data we had at the time. It was really quite a technical discussion. We were fortunate in Santa Clara County that the Medical Association here also has an environmental health committee. And so they have a lot of expertise in that group that sort of vets the information and provides it to the larger medical association as a whole. I did notice that we have 2 folks from our region here on the call. Stephen Jackson is the co-chair of that environmental health committee. Dr. Jackson is on the call. He's been really foundational, a lot of the work we do. And also Francesca Lomontan is with Valley Water, and she's on the call as well. So not only did the Medical Association endorse it, but they, after the project was up and running and they saw how important it was as we went through another few droughts in California, they suggested that we contact the California Medical Association about passing a resolution endorsing reuse. And in between 2011 and 2012, they considered the data and they developed the references and provided this information with a resolution endorsing reuse to the House of Delegates of the California Medical Association. You see that on the screen. That was passed over 10 years ago. It's a great feature to have in reaching out to the public. And in fact, they have now, as part of this initiative, drafted a revised version that specifically focuses on potable reuse and the importance of potable reuse to the health of the community in the face of climate change. Fast forward another 10 years, in 2021, the Valley Water was about to launch their direct potable reuse project, and they wanted to get the endorsement of the Medical Association. So we reached out to them again. Of course, there was a new group of people there. It had been some time since the original endorsement. And potable reuse is of a different intensity, if you will, than non-potable. So we went through another period of some 6 months of webinars and conversations with the Environmental Health Committee to answer their questions about the additional treatment, about QMRA, the quantified quantitative microbial risk analysis that's at the heart of the regulations. And I not only endorsed it at the end of 2021, but having learned as much as they did about reuse and potable reuse and the importance of reuse, they said they wanted to share this with the rest of their membership so that all 5,000 physician members of the Medical Association could become advocates for reuse, which was really a very important and significant move on their part. They produced a special issue of their quarterly journal to share what they'd learned. The doctors wrote and co-wrote the issues of that. So we presented on that in 2023 at the WateReuse conference. I believe that was in Atlanta. And following that, the EPA recognized the significance of that. EPA and CDC were both involved in that panel discussion where two of the physicians flew out to Atlanta to talk to the reuse community, and they developed this this initiative, which is featured on the online platform, and the links are there. So if you're sharing the slides here in the video, that you can access that. But you see some of the goals, the outputs of this initiative are to develop a communications plan, to provide information of that special issue available to other medical associations, submit an updated resolution to the AMA through the California Medical Association, develop and implement an outreach plan for participating utilities to engage with their local medical associations. That was one of the early discussions we had with Las Virgenes. They hadn't yet reached out to the medical associations. You heard from Stephen what a tremendously gratifying response they got. But when we originally met with them, they're like, well, how do we talk with them? And we explained at that time that from our experience, that doctors don't have the same capacity for information than the public does. They have a greater appetite for technical information. On one hand, they don't know any more about where water comes from than anybody else. On the other hand, they're all quick learners. And when you do go through the details of where water comes from and why it's needed, they're very quick to understand the importance of a reliable water supply and dive into the treatment alternatives. Just one thing I'd like to share on that: the doctors at Valley Water, at the Santa Clara County Medical Association, eventually took the position that they wanted to understand reuse and explain it to the physicians in their membership and their patients the way they explain other medical issues, using what they call the informed consent model. What's the problem? What are the alternatives? What happens if you do nothing? What are the treatment options? What are the downsides of the treatment options? What can be done to overcome those obstacles? And what are the long-term considerations going forward? When you think about it, the same thing you want to know when you're facing a medical intervention are the same thing that people want to know about when they're looking at using a new water supply, especially one that comes from wastewater. So finding ways and sharing the ways that we've successfully reached out to physicians is one of the points of this. And then eventually to develop a toolbox that we can share with other health professionals, with the reuse community, to engage with health professionals and make them available on a nationwide basis. So some of the things we've done already, we're profiling the reuse agencies and their outreach efforts so that other agencies can sort of find their match in the agencies that are either doing potable or non-potable, different sizes. You know, we have members from all over the country. This initiative, by the way, while it's co-sponsored by the Water Reuse Association and US EPA, is funded by the participating agencies. And among the other work products that we're putting out, we have sample letters of endorsement that we've collected from all the agencies. We're producing a panel discussion amongst 3 of the physicians that represent the agencies that you've heard from today. Dr. Rocaranza from El Paso, Dr. Roy from the Las Virgenes area in LA, and a selection of physicians from the Silicon Valley area who will be talking about their attitudes towards reuse and towards working with water professionals. And we're looking forward to that discussion. And ultimately, the goal, as I said, to develop best practices and to create a community of practice that brings water reuse practitioners and medical professionals together. One other point on that, in addition to being many times the most scientifically trained person that a member of the public deals with on an annual basis, you know, they see the doctor, that's as close to a scientist as they're going to talk to. One of the reasons that a doctor's opinion is so important, but the doctors themselves have issues that go well beyond reuse that are related to water. So one of the things we've realized is that when you speak with the physicians about reuse, don't be surprised when they also want to talk to you about things like PFAS or source control of other toxics, issues that are important to them as health professionals and which come in your purview as a water professional. So let me stop there. Again, I'm happy if anybody would like to become part of this initiative, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll look forward to the discussions. Actually, as we transition to the questions from the audience, I just want to ask Christina and Stephen if they have anything else that they'd like to add about their experience with the initiative.
That'd be great, Eric. And Stephen and Christina, you're welcome to come on camera. And before we dive into questions, I'd like to just take a minute to squeeze in one other person to chime in a little bit about reaching out to the nursing community. And with that, Danny Birch from Orange County Water District, do you mind saying a few words, and then we'll hear from some of the other panelists?
Yeah, absolutely. So here at Orange County Water District, we have tours of our groundwater replenishment system. And a group that we've noticed are increasingly coming on these tours are nursing students. And for some programs, as part of their accreditation, they have to do a number of hours in community or environmental health. And so we're really fortunate that a lot of the professors have recognized that, you know, water quality is essential to public health. So they have come on the tours. In 2024, for example, we had around 10 different classes come. And specifically, we see them a lot. We're in Orange County, so we see Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Long Beach. Those programs come a lot. And it's really great because then they can pass that information along to their patients. They're really great advocates for the work that we're doing here. So that's a group that we've been actively engaging, and we're really lucky that they continue to come on tours.
That's great. Thank you for adding that. That really is a great idea. And I bet other utilities on this call are thinking, wow, that would be a great thing to reach out to the nursing community. And with that, Christina or Stephen, do you have anything to add to Eric's, what he talked about with the EPA and the broader outreach for the country?
No, I'll just, I mean, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I just want to make sure. You know, I talked a lot about what El Paso is doing, but I learn from other utilities all the time, and especially from the program that Eric mentioned. And I think it's given us a goal of trying to get some of those endorsements and some of those resolutions. We have not done that here in El Paso, but that's something that we are striving towards. So these collaborations and being able to listen to other presentations really does help. I hope it helps for the others on this call.
And Stephen?
Yeah, when I was listening to Eric, I thought to myself, another kind of, I think, word of advice for people who are looking to start this process is, most likely scenario is you already have a partnership with somebody who has a partnership with the medical community, right? And so depending if you have a great relationship with your county, well, through your relationship with those county representatives, they have access to county health officials, right? If you have a great, like listening to Danny and the great work they're doing in Orange County, if you have a good relationship with a university or a local school or a local community college, they have a relationship with a medical community. So, sometimes I think, white jacket syndrome, right? Like we think they're so unapproachable as doctors, but really we have a lot of different avenues and opportunities to start making those connections. And once again, I would say if, the return on investment in time and effort that we've put in has been just phenomenal. So if you're questioning whether you have the bandwidth, it's going to give you so much content and tools to go out in your communities and really prove the point that the work we do is absolutely paramount for public health.
Great, thank you. And now I'm going to ask Gina if we have any questions in the chat or other.
I don't see any questions, Mark, in the chat or the Q&A.
Okay.
If anyone also wants to ask a question, you could just raise your hand and we can unmute you as well.
Yeah.
So far, I don't see anything, but while we're kind of waiting for individuals, I just wanted to take a moment to share, Mark, as well, that Orange County Water District, we are trying to put together kind of like what Eric was talking about, an outreach kit that may be useful. I know a lot of us, right, we cite Ron Wildermuth, right, was the head of communications back at Orange County Water District and started a lot of this great effort and all of the face-to-face and robust speakers bureau and tours and all of that. And so we're going to put together something. We get asked a lot for it. So just in hopes to further kind of, projects and learning and how we educate citizens. Because I think one of the really great things that Orange County Water District did early on too, they formed a Citizens Leadership Advisory Committee. And on that, we all remember like Dr. Jack Skinner. He was our local Huntington Beach doctor. Him and his wife were so supportive of the project. They would come on, they would talk on camera or get interviewed, and he would talk about how, he would serve his grandkids this water. And, he was such a strong believer. But forming that Citizen Leadership Advisory Committee gave OCWD the opportunity to kind of have some grass tops, right, on the committee. So somebody in the environmental, we had somebody from Coastkeeper, we had a local doctor, we had, all these different kind of moms, school groups. But that group kind of gave an opportunity to create these ambassadors, like Christina was talking about in the Spanish-speaking community, to go out, right, and spread the word and amplify the agency's voice. So I think that's another great opportunity. And I think we have some question here for Christina. Are the is it promotoras? I don't know how to say it. Hired directly, promotoras, or directly, or just through a partnership?
Okay, great question. And yes, the promotoras are not hired directly through us. They're hired through Texas Tech University, and they are paid through Texas Tech University. We entered into a sponsor partnership agreement. And so we pay Texas Tech, and then Texas Tech will pay those promotoras. They have, a program already set up that they were already using the promotoras to go out on other issues in our community. So when we approached them, it was just an additional topic that they would go out about. We also, as part of the partnership, work with UT Health Houston on some of the messaging and some of the work that goes behind it. So it's with both of them, but kind of what Stephen said, look to those universities, those medical schools, the dental schools, in your community, and they can have similar partnerships that you can build. And then also I might add one thing that was really beneficial for us, if your utility does have a separate board, like ours does, we're not a city department. What we did years ago is we created expert areas for each of our board members. So we have a public health, we have a medical professional, we have a finance, we have engineering. And that has really been amazing in many areas, but especially here because we were able to get an actual MD to be on our board. And once they're involved and they understand the water utility and they understand what you're doing, it just dominoes out from there. The same with our public health seat, which was Dr. Christine Mena over at UT Health Houston. She's the one who paved the way for our partnership there. So I can't agree with Stephen more to try to look for those partnerships and people that you may already be in contact with that could help you build upon that.
Great. Thank you, Christina. And another one, Gina?
Yes, there's another question. Is there a target time frame to compare the wrap items?
Yeah, Eric, maybe you could address that. Oh, we may have lost him. I think he had to.
Oh no,
Oh,
I'm
you're
still
still
here.
here. There you
Yeah,
are. Okay,
no, I
perfect.
appreciate the question. We actually have a timeline to complete the targeted action items by the end of the year. Some of them took a little longer than we thought when we started this. On the other hand, the initiative itself, and one of the benefits of the WRAP and the fact that we're hosted by both EPA and WateReuse, is that as long as there's an interest in continuing this collaboration, I don't see any reason why we would have to stop doing it. So there's always opportunity to identify new goals. And while I do expect that we'll have a toolbox available and the sample letters of endorsement, et cetera, for general use, I see this as this conversation between the medical and health and water professionals as one that will really go beyond the specific initiative and one that might be hosted by WateReuse going forward. So I think we're adaptable in our approach to schedule, but we do expect to wrap up the initial goals within the next 6 months. I want to just add one other quick thing. I know a lot of people have already been in touch with their public health departments. And I just wanted to emphasize there is a distinction between clinicians and public health physicians, and that's their contact with patients. And this is one of the things that was explained to us by the doctors in the Santa Clara County Medical Association. They have such an intimate relationship with their patients on a regular basis. And as I mentioned, they're often the most technically trained people that a patient will ever run into. So their opinion really matters. And that's why I think it's important not only to speak with the health department, but also to talk to the groups of doctors who see patients regularly.
That's great. Hey, Eric, if some of the folks on this call want to have access to the toolkit when it's available, do you have any idea how that will work and who will be coordinating that
Well,
access?
my understanding is, and I probably should check with the folks at EPA, but this information is going to be provided as part of their overall sponsorship. And Ben Glickstein's on the call. I don't know, Ben, whether you had any particular outreach approach or publication. Sorry to put you on the spot here, but WateReuse is going to be hosting this information.
Yeah, let's put Ben on the spot. That's a great idea. Ben,
So
maybe
what
you, or
sounds
I
great.
see even Julie Minton's also on the call. Maybe between the two of you, you could share a little bit about what the plans are for that.
Sure. And on Julie's side, since she's not on as a presenter, she may have to put it in the chat. I think unless we can promote her to presenter status, which might be possible. So just in terms of the question is around the WRAP 8.8, the sort of the outputs of all these learnings and how we'll get them out there to our community. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to feedback on that, but certainly, that's obviously one of WateReuse Association's roles is sort of being this clearinghouse for all this content and learning that's produced. So, I mean, first and foremost, I'll put it in the chat right now. We have a simple web page that's dedicated to this issue. So which has sort of become a clearinghouse for everything from old webcast links, documents that have been published, etc. So certainly all that content can live there, but I know that's a kind of that's not something that's a sort of push of information. That's something that you can go to if you know about it. So I'll put that in the chat though. I think there's a lot of other tactics that we could use to get the word out there. We'll obviously put it out via our social media and our newsletter, but I also, whenever we have a big milestone project like this, we always try to pull together educational webcast. And always usually are pushing for those folks that are involved in that to be presenting that at our various conferences. So those are some of the ways that we would try to amplify the outcomes of this research. But I'm definitely open to more. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest, that's often the stumbling block with these things. And one of the biggest challenges, you've got all this great learning, and then how do you make sure that folks are utilizing it? So I'd love feedback on that. Yeah.
Great. And I see Julie, we have anything to add, Julie Minton, or do you care to jump in on this?
I am so very sorry. Can you repeat the question, and I will do my best. I had you guys muted before. Sorry.
Oh, I don't mean to put you on the spot, Julie.
Well, do it.
No, the question was just about how, once the wrap is complete, how will people on this call and other utilities and comms people across the country be able to access this information?
Well, I mean, and are you speaking like specifically through Water Research Foundation?
Are you guys, your guys are coordinating with the wrap, right? On
Right,
this and
well,
water
exactly,
reuse?
exactly. And so pertaining to this and the wrap, I mean, we don't have specific research underway or planned engaging, acceptance and the medical community. There's certainly applied research that we could fund going forward. We are a partner on this, and so I think I need to delve in and speak with the project team and you and Eric and all on how
Julie,
we can.
let me just offer that your
Yeah.
role, as you originally agreed to get involved, is that because the doctors are interested in so many technical issues related to water and health, well beyond the pathogens of concern in potable reuse, but looking at organics and toxics, that you offered to make the Water Research Foundation's vast trove of references on this topic available to us, and we appreciate that.
Well, of course, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and always, yes. I mean, we have a lot of technical research, applied research on our website, and many of you are subscribers, and so can access that very easily. I do want to mention we have an upcoming partnership with the State Water Board in California, and so to fund more reuse research to streamline and advance implementation specifically in California, but really that obviously benefits the nation, and we're working now on a survey, and obviously public and political acceptance of reuse is just a huge part of implementation and advancement. And so we will be talking research needs in that, and actually launching a survey at Water Reuse California in September, and then following up next year with a research needs workshop. And again, this area of research is definitely going to be a part of that future funding.
Great.
And Mark,
Yes.
one last comment on this.
Sure,
We have quarterly calls with the participants, and we have one coming up at the end of this month on the 25th. That's a Friday from 9 to 10 Pacific. If anybody's interested in joining just to observe, you're welcome to do that. And if you shoot me an email, I'd be happy to provide you the link.
That's great, Eric. And thank you, Julie and Ben. It just really speaks to the fact that you're not alone out there. You comms people who are out there thinking about this issue know that there's a lot of thinking and coordination and planning happening at a national level to help leverage our engagement with the medical community, not just in California, but across the nation, which obviously from having our speakers here today. And I'm going to just ask, did anybody have one last burning question they'd like to ask before we move on here? Gina, do we?
Don't see any questions.
Seeing none, then let's just take a moment to thank Christina, Stephen, and Eric, and also Danny and Ben and Julie for helping us out today. Really appreciate all of you chiming in and sharing with us the great work that you're doing in this area. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Mark, for moderating that. It was great information. And now next on our agenda is going to be an update from Brenly from California Water Reuse. So I know if there are folks on national, you are more than welcome to stay on. If not, we understand. So Brenly, are you ready to take it away? Great, we see your screen.
Okay, hopefully you can all hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, okay, excellent. I'm getting some strange messages. You know, we did the rehearsal, we practiced, we shared our screens, and there's still errors. Hopefully you can see everything. It's really great to be with you here all today. And thank you again for that session earlier. This was really informative, and it's always nice to hear the perspectives from other states as well as California. So we appreciate Christina and hearing from WateReuse Texas. So thank you so much. So as Julie mentioned, I did want to brief you all on this update. So thank you to Julie Mitten. We are excited to participate in this effort for the phase 3 or grant 3 from the State Water Board. Julie had mentioned some of the efforts being explored, and we will be kicking this off at a survey at WateReuse California. So we hope to see you there. So I will skip over this slide since you got a nice update from Julie. But that is a perfect segue to our conference. It is 73 days away, and I am counting. We are in the final stages of putting together all of the details, and we have a communications collaborative group meeting. It is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday at 8 a.m. And we are working through some scheduling and difficulties with the hotel, but we will definitely have a meeting for you. We are trying to move it to Monday, and we are doing our best to accommodate this. So we apologize, but we definitely will be reaching out to all of you very soon once we finalize these details with the hotel. There's a lot of moving pieces that we are working through. We do have a keynote speaker that we're excited about. He's not in the water sector, but has a really interesting personal story to share about perseverance and changing the environment around you. And we're really excited to hear him and see how he ties everything back to WateReuse California and our members. And we will be posting our draft schedule next week. I know some of you have been on the lookout for this, so we appreciate your patience, and you'll start to see some exciting things. We are highlighting our partnership with the Water Research Foundation. We're highlighting our comms related sessions and also policy related sessions as well for our elected officials that will be joining the conference. And I did just want to take a little bit of a time here to give you an update on our strategic plan and some of the things that we've been doing behind the scenes. And I wanted to include here what we've been focusing on. And we recognize, and with all of you as our members, that it's better that we work together than build alone. And that is important for all of our members. And we've been really thinking through how to restructure our committees, how to bring people together in the most meaningful way, and also how to make the most out of all of your time that you give so generously to us. So we've been investing in our community, and we are looking to restructure our newest committee. It will be the Potable Reuse Committee. And we have put this committee together with a few things in mind. As we're looking forward to implementing DPR in California, we're recognizing the need to bring a lot of these pieces together, including communications. So you'll see here a diagram on the next slide that we are reimagining this committee structure. So there will be one overarching committee, and we are imagining some subcommittees to fall under this umbrella structure. We still anticipate the Communications Collaborative Group to exist as you are, but we also would like to fold you in through the leadership of this group. And of course, anyone else who would like to attend, to bring all of the pieces together. So this includes permitting and compliance. This includes communications and our newest subcommittee, what we're calling our DPR implementation subcommittee. The leadership for this overarching committee has yet to be determined. We are working with our nominating committee and we'll have an announcement ready soon. And we will also work to fill the leadership roles for the DPR implementation subcommittee as well. So I will be serving as the staff liaison to all three of these subcommittees. So also to help build that connectivity between all three of these. We will be hosting an in-person kickoff meeting at our conference. It will be hosted on Monday, and we are anticipating this to be a larger committee meeting, and we will have more information on that as soon as we make the announcement about the leadership. So I'm going to pause there to see if there are any questions before I move on, because this is an exciting new development for us as we've been thinking through how to best implement our strategic plan and how to make the most out of all of your time.
I don't see any questions, Brenly.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on. I have just a few updates more to share with you on the legislative and regulatory side of things. We have our SB 31. This is our WateReuse California sponsored bill. We have Senator McNerney. He is the author of this bill, and this bill has moved through every committee, and most recently it was just doubly referred to the Committee on Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials, and it passed in early July. So we're very excited about the progress that we're making with this bill. This bill, as a reminder, is seeking to remove the barriers for non-potable recycled water use. Any places from parks and places where food might be sprayed onto eating areas and things like that. There's 5 key areas within this bill, and it has been really developed by our LegReg committee, and we have a subcommittee who's really put their a lot of their time into this, and we appreciate all of their dedication. And then the last update is on the on-site reuse regulations. These regulations are to address the adoption of regulations for building scale installations in urban settings. So I'm actually in San Francisco right now, not too far from SFPUC, and this will be developed throughout the year. We have now passed through a schedule, and all of the public comments are being reviewed right now. There was a hearing in early June, which WateReuse California commented on. And we are now in this phase where we are seeking the adoption of this regulation by sometime in 2026. So we're still awaiting the final date, but we will keep you all posted. So that is the end of my update, and I'm happy to take any questions about any of these updates from the organization.
I don't see any questions yet, and if anyone wants to raise their hand, we can unmute you, but I do see a comment from Julie Minton. She wants to mention that WRF has an upcoming RFP that will be valuable to communicating reuse, WRF 5368, a framework for evaluating the economic, environmental, and social costs and benefits of alternative water systems. The RFP will launch in September, and they're now seeking utility participation. Okay, thank you so much, Brenly, and feel free to reach out to Brenly if you have any questions about what she reported on today or about the upcoming conference that we are all excited about. So thank you, Brenly. Typically in the meeting, we have a quick mention of any pertinent water reuse stories that were in the news. So there was quite a lot of coverage. I know that WateReuse California and also Ben at National, they're all tracking the stories as well. But we took a look, we use Meltwater for our media tracking, and we took a look at water reuse mentions, and It was in the media about 14,000 plus times from April to June with a reach about 23 billion. And we highlighted here just kind of 4 articles that had a national reach this last quarter. One of them, the Guardian interview, we actually had the reporter come here to Orange County and meet with Mehul Patel and one of our board members. And then there's these 3 other articles as well that appear. They all tend to be positive, which is great, and really speak to how water reuse projects are going to be expanding throughout the United States and throughout other areas like England as well. So definitely some good positive coverage, more articles about water reuse. So we can continue to share that. And if anyone wants the full list of articles, we do track that on a regular basis and happy to share it out. So with that, that brings us to the next agenda item, which is our share outs, our open forum. If anyone has any questions, any meeting topics that they would like to see brought forward in the future, or any other useful information they'd like to share, now's the time to do so. So either raise your hand, we can unmute you, or put your comment in the chat or the Q&A box. And as we're waiting for that, I think one additional thing that I wanted to mention is early on we showed a page where all of the Water Reuse California communications group kind of members are. I believe there's about 8 of us. And so Jen Swart, who I think is on the call now, she has been promoted to a new position at the Water Replenishment District. She now serves as the Water Resources Planner. I hope I got that title right, Jen. But she will be stepping off the committee, and there will be an open seat. So we'll send out an email to the group, and if anyone is interested in participating, they could send kind of a statement of interest and qualifications. So expect that to come via email. Anything else from the group, Mark or Becca or Rupam? Any other things you wanted to bring up?
Nothing here, but a great program today. And I want to thank the committee and all of our speakers that we had today, and Brenly too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely echo what Mark says. So with that, that concludes our meeting at 1:15. So we're a little ahead of schedule, but there was some really great information shared. We do record these meetings, the presenter portion of it at least, and they're posted on the Water Reuse California website. And then just a couple of reminders, if you do want to sign up to be on the mailing list, you can go ahead and visit the Water Reuse California page, and there's a link up here, and sign up to be added. And then our upcoming meetings, as Brenly mentioned, we are going to have a communications collaborative group meeting at conference, either on Tuesday at 8 a.m. or on Monday. So we'll stay tuned for that. And then December 11th will be our 4th quarterly meeting from 12 to 1, and we are still working on the topic, and we'll make sure to get information out about that. So with that, thank you all for joining today, and have a great rest of the week and weekend. And thanks again to all the presenters. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.